Your decision-making framework. Your market research is going to determine what the market actually indicates about your development decisions, whether there is an oversupply, are there lending restrictions in the market, are there interest rates that are higher, is there poor, is your feasibility poor. All these things will actually get highlighted from your market research of what is actually going on. See, we all studied in economics, and if you studied economics, price is determined by supply and demand. However, these days, because of all these, all these instruments that the government actually holds and the economists actually hold in order to actually stimulate the economy artificially or boost the economy artificially or actually restrict credit and actually control the prices of property or assets and so on, is phenomenal. So they can actually have all these macroprudential reforms in the market, and that would actually have an impact on the price. So the price these days is not just determined by supply and demand, but also by market conditions and also by regulations and set up by the regulatory authority in the country that you're developing. So your market research will highlight all these things. Then you have three main options after that. As your decision making, see, the reason that we are actually doing the development is actually to make a profit, but also be able to acquire property at cost if you want to have, if you just want to keep a property and not be able to sell it or just hold it as a long-term investment. So your decision will have, you'll basically have three main options. You can either buy it or hold something, you can flip it, or you can develop it. So in terms of buying and holding, you have to buy a piece of land based on market trends, and you must be able to cover your holding costs. So it, again, this also sort of branches into whether you're buying something in order to actually get a tax incentive because you want to offset the interest payments that you're making and so on. You can flip it in terms that you can actually add value and then on-sell the project. You can add value by either rezoning or by getting a permit or by maximizing its value or by renovating and so on. So you get, if you once you added a value, it just depends upon what would you like to do with it, and in case you don't want to go all the way with it. So if you've added value, you bought something for $1 million and got a permit to be able to build an apartment building on them, and then you managed to fit in about 12 apartments on it, and you figure that now the value is going to be about 1.6 because now I can, instead of a single dwelling, now I can actually put in an apartment building on it and then be able to sell it for 1.6 million. So that's basically flipping. Flipping is basically you control the property for a short amount of time. You can do that either by using option agreements, or you can also do that by getting a longer settlement. So if you basically sign the contract now, but you don't intend to actually close the sale or settle on it for another 12 months, and that gives you the time to actually be able to go and get a development approval or a development permit on it. And once you've got that, you can actually flip the site before you actually do the development yourself or on-sell it to somebody else. The third option is that you can actually develop it and go all the way with the end product. And towards the end, again, you'll be faced with the same decision whether you want to buy and hold the development or you want to go ahead with it. Now, when it comes to your decision-making framework, you have to make sure and consider all these success factors that you will need to consider. Number one is location, your execution plan. So unless you've got a system that you can follow, or you've got somebody who's looking over your shoulder, making sure that you're doing all the right things, you're ticking all the right boxes, you're making sure that you've looked at everything possible before you come into the project. That's your execution plan, basically. So whether you know what you're doing, or you have a system that you can follow, or you've got somebody looking over your shoulder, most important, especially for people who are trying to do this for the first time. Best project, planning and anticipation rather than reaction. That's the success outline for projects that have performed the best are basically by planning and anticipation. So what a system would do is actually, instead of you reacting to an issue or a problem when it actually comes up or presents itself, you are actually trying to plan and anticipate the same issues to pop up so that you are better prepared. So instead of reacting, you are actually proactive with what is about to happen in your development. Use the right strategy at the right time. There are different kind of strategies. Like you don't have to go all the way with construction in every single development. You can add value, flip, get out. You can get pre-sales. You can sit on the development. You can get longer settlements. There are like n number of things that you can do in order to get the best out of a development. You must have the fourth thing is that the fifth thing is that you must have a financial buffer in order to be able to ride the development. You should be in the driver's seat, not your architect. So when it comes to design, especially, you have to remember that if you go to an architect, sometimes the architect there are two kinds of architect. Ones that don't really care what you're doing, and they have a cookie cutter design. They'll just slap that design on your block or your site every single time. And those are cheap, and they not necessarily add value. And then there are architects who would actually want to have a really good development as a feather in their cap, but at your expense. But that development may not be the right fit for that location or for that market, or in terms of design, it could be way too expensive to build. So you need to make sure that you can control these construction costs and have a design input with your architect. Correct marketing and target audience. Don't wait for the market to come to you. So when people say, if you build it, they will come. No, not really. It doesn't really work like that. You have to identify the market, and you have to develop what meets the demand. Favorable finance, it adds to the bottom line. So if you go and get better interest rate, better terms, better exit clauses, better loan setup fees or points or whatever you call them, wherever you're developing, it adds to the bottom line, and it lowers the cost to service the development. Management and control. The developer must always be on top of things. So, let's change that to things. And also a healthy economy and the quality, which will come from design and the actual execution of the design in construction. So these are the success factors: location, execution plan. Best projects are basically done by planning and anticipation. Use of the right strategy at the right time, having a financial buffer. You should be in the driver's seat, not your architect. Correct marketing and target audience, favorable finance terms, management and control, a healthy economy, and quality in terms of design and construction. Now, there are 4 market constraints that you need to understand. Number 1 is customer confidence. Do they feel rich, or do they feel that they are struggling? Anytime the value of a property goes up, homeowners or people who own the properties, they start feeling rich because now the value of their property has gone up. And if they feel uncertain about the economy or the fate of the country, or if they feel that they could be impacted severely because of changes in tax laws or government policies, they will sit on their wallet. What's going to happen over there is that when the confidence is not there in the market, it does not matter what kind of product you're developing or what best deal you're making, people will simply not spend that money. And that's what happens when the regulatory bodies try to artificially control the market. It will actually, they actually end up killing the market because people lose that confidence. Why? Because they know that there is a shortage of supply in the area. They know that the product will sell and all those things. However, if they think that they will never have that finance available in order to do that, they're not going to go ahead with it. So this is a very big issue, especially in terms of development. Interest and mortgage rates, higher interest is equal to lower borrowing. It's very simple. People, when the cost of money is high, people will tend to borrow it less and less and less because nobody wants to pay those high costs of borrowing. Credit, unless they are actually offset by the returns that they can achieve. Credit restrictions, stringent lending criteria, lower loan-to-value ratios, or LTV or LVRs, that they're also part of market constraints. Market timing, you must understand that in any time what happens is that we get a down cycle, is that usually in economics you get a down cycle when there's an oversupply. But these days you don't really just get a down cycle just because of oversupply, but also by credit restrictions and also by other restrictions put in artificially to control the market. So when you get a down cycle, it actually goes down, and then we have an absorption cycle, which is basically if there is a surplus supply of a single product, of a type of product in the market, it's going to take time to actually get absorbed. Once it actually gets absorbed, it reaches that break-even point where the value of the property is neither high neither low, and it's actually at equilibrium. And then we again go with the same cycle again, which is market saturation, where the market peaks up so much that either it is controlled and it forces government regulatory bodies to actually intervene artificially, and then there's a decline in the cycle. So you must be able to actually pinpoint what these signals are and so on, and I cover them in a lot of detail in the full course. So that's the decision-making framework. It will always be dependent upon what the market indicates, and your strategy of what you're actually going to do. Are you going to buy and hold, flip, develop? The success factors that actually make it happen for any kind of development that you do, these are the success factors that are going to be in play. The market constraints are main, your customer confidence and the cost of money, and your market timing, or where you are actually, or when you actually enter into the market.